Yep.
Straight away you get the steam. So they're just so convenient. You don't have to carry a kettle around with you.
Yeah. Yes. Songbirds, today we are going to learn so much about vocal health and how to recover from vocal injury, fatigue and other challenging voice difficulties with my very special guest, Elle Nichelle, speech pathologist, vocal coach, singer and founder of Vocalab. How are you going, Elle?
Hey, I am so excited to be here. How are you?
Well, I am equally, or if not more, excited to have you with us. So can't wait for this chat, Elle. Now, Elle, you know, you're doing so much at the moment, you know, serving the singing and professional voice user community. You know, you offer voice therapy, singing lessons, and you've also got this incredible education academy for voice educators. And you're a singer yourself. So clearly you are obsessed with the voice.
Yes.
Can you take us back to when you first discovered this love?
I think it was when I was very young. My family moved around a lot, all over the world and all over Australia, and I couldn't have like really solid friendships because of that. But I always found connection wherever we went for however short a time we were there with singing and people who loved to sing.
Wow.
And then when we settled in South Australia, I joined Australian Girls Choir, which is a beautiful organisation, and started singing in bands and just loved it and really enjoyed it. I just found I could connect with people really well through it.
That is so cool. Yeah, it definitely is a uniting factor, music. So it sounds like for you, it really did start with singing and music, right? So
yeah.
How did that then sort of go into the more scientific, you know, route and voice therapy and speech pathology and all that?
Yeah, I suppose I've always really loved helping people.
Yeah.
But when I finished high school, I went to uni and I studied at the Elder Conservatorium of Music in South Australia, and I studied jazz voice. And when I was there, it was so much fun. Made some beautiful friends. And then when I was there, I went out one night and I was at a club. I was standing right next to this huge stack of speakers. And I love having D&M, so I was having a big chat with someone for a couple of hours, yelling really, at a club, yelling really, really loudly right next to these speakers. And I woke up the next morning, I was in the middle of my degree, and I couldn't speak.
Yeah.
And this is the first time anything had ever happened to my voice. My voice had always worked extremely well. Yeah. And 3 days later, still couldn't speak. I remember trying to yell to make sound and I couldn't. And so that's when I was first introduced to ENTs and speech pathologists, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's this whole other world out there, and I've been singing and teaching singing for a while. Why don't I know anything about how my voice works, and why wasn't I taught about how my voice works from my singing teachers? And so I kind of went on this journey of self-discovery and realized after I finished my degree and my diploma, and started singing, teaching, and I was like, I need to know more. And so then I went back to uni, studied speech pathology, and here I am today trying to make sure that I can inject some knowledge into singing teachers about how the voice works, what to look for when things go wrong, who to refer to when things go wrong, so that everyone has a really solid education when they leave the school system.
Hey Songbird, a crucial part of maintaining great vocal health is to actually learn how to use correct vocal technique. So if you want to do that and you want to really be able to build a voice that you would be so proud of and you know, really enjoy the sound of, I encourage you, why don't you check out the Songbird Tree Vocal Academy. Songbird, if you want more than just bite-sized lessons on random singing topics, and you truly would like to have a step-by-step process to follow that would help you master your voice in the most quickest way possible, if you would like to learn not just what exercises to practice, but in what order, in which exact range, and the best way to progress them each day, each week, each month, each year, and beyond. If you would like to be given specific daily workouts that you could work on every single day, being guided as to how long you should practice each day, and when it's time to actually move on to more difficult workouts, if you want to progress from where you are as a singer now to becoming the singer that you've always dreamed of, then I invite you, Songbird, go and check out the Songbird Tree Vocal Academy, where you can get access to all of my vocal training programs. Plus, I add new content every single month. And guess what? I want to let you check all that out for free for the next 7 days. I've made this the most affordable and, dare I say, comprehensive and best library of vocal training ever. There's my foundational course, The Vocal Revolution, which teaches you everything you need to know about vocal technique and takes you from beginner to advanced. There's also my incredible supplementary courses, for example, my How to Sing in Mixed Voice programs, where you can zero in on a particular topic or a particular part of your voice. There's the webinars and masterclasses where you get an intensive 30-minute to 90-minute booster on a particular focused subject. There's also the guided exercises and extras, where I give you intensive boosters, but in 5 to 15 minutes, also on a specific topic. And there is so much more. All of this to help you get grounded, take flight, and sing. Songbird, I'm always believing in you, and I just can't wait to see you inside the Songbird Tree Vocal Academy. Click on the link to start your 7-day free trial now. So it sounds like you kind of went through your own journey with, vocal injury and, experiencing difficulties and challenges with your voice, which then motivated you to then pass on the knowledge. That is so cool. Yeah. So can you take us through a little bit deeper in terms of your own, when after that night when you woke up and you were like, oh my gosh, I can't speak, how did it feel? What were then the next steps that you took to then, I guess go on the journey of vocal recovery for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, mine was a bit weird in that I didn't know anything. I didn't know anyone who to talk to. My singing teacher recommended that I go to see an ENT.
Which is a nose throat doctor, right?
Yes, yeah, or a laryngologist. And I went there and they did a scope. So they passed a camera down my nose and had a look in my vocal folds. And he was like, you've got one small nodule on your right vocal fold. And I was like, okay. And then he sent me to a speech pathologist who I saw for 2 sessions. Yes. And my experience there was not amazing. I went in not knowing anything and I came out feeling like I also didn't know anything. And I didn't have the understanding of what they were doing with me to make me want to go back. So I only went for 2 sessions.
Okay.
Yep. Bad client. I only went for 2 sessions because I didn't understand why I was there. And I've taken that through my journey as a clinician, because I like to make sure that all of my patients know why they're there, know what we're going to achieve, and have the resources to be able to help move their voice forward in a positive direction. And so I went to 2 sessions, and at the time, so this was like over 10 years ago, at the time, the therapy that they gave for voice recovery for something like a nodule was no talking, which is not right now. That is completely wrong. Okay. Now, we didn't have the science back then.
Right.
But I got told not to talk for 6 weeks.
Okay.
So I had to communicate with writing and texting.
And charades.
Yep. And then just over time, like over that 6 weeks, maybe within 5 weeks, my voice just came back because I was being really careful with it.
Yep.
And then that was it. And then I was like, okay, it can't be magic that this went away. And then that's kind of when I went on that journey. So I had a weird backwards experience with ENTs and speech pathologists.
Yeah, interesting. So what would what have you told someone who's actually seen you, whether for a vocal lesson or as a speech pathologist, who's actually had nodules before? So, you said that, stopping talking is not the right way to go about it. What have you told them to do instead?
Yeah. So if you think of your larynx is made up of muscles and cartilage and ligaments and things like that. And another structure in your body that's made up of muscles and cartilage and ligaments is your knee. They're very similar structures. So if you damaged your knee, would you just stop walking on it for 6 weeks?
No.
You wouldn't. You'd go into rehabilitation.
Yes.
So you'd slowly rehabilitate the knee, slowly get those muscles back up, slowly get those ligaments working, that joint working, because you don't want the muscle or you don't want the joint to atrophy. You don't want it to get weaker. Absolutely. And so it's the same thing with your larynx. You would, if you've had surgery on it, usually the ENT would recommend about 3 days with no talking, no coughing, which is a really hard thing to do.
Yes.
But that's only if you've had surgery.
Right.
And then after that, you slowly get back into voicing. And it's not about this is the exercise to do to get rid of a nodule. It's actually these are the exercises you do to retrain your muscles so that you don't get a nodule again, because a nodule isn't the cause. A nodule is a symptom.
Yes.
So often people will be like, how do I get rid of these nodules? It's like, no, it's how do you retrain your muscles to be in a good habit of moving, to have efficient voicing so that the nodule doesn't occur again.
Yes. Yeah, wow, that's brilliant. And so you can get rid of nodules, yes?
Oh, yeah. Voice therapy is the most effective way to get rid of nodules. And if your lifestyle or your lifestyle, your work doesn't allow you to have that time off to go through rehab with your voice, you can have surgery on them if your ENT says it's okay. But you still have to have rehab after that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So would you sort of take the approach that surgery is kind of the last last resort, or does it depend on what's going on?
It depends on what's going on. I mean, sometimes, and the ENT will be able to, they weigh up what your job is. So like if you are a professional, say opera singer, and you've got some swelling, they might say, okay, let's do a steroid injection, and then have some rehab after you've done your big performance. But it's up to the ENT really and your circumstances whether or not. But there's no one that's bad and no one that's good. It's just whatever's going to help the patient get to their best vocal functioning.
Yep. Fantastic. So, there is no one size fits all, or, because one of the things that I find quite scary is when singers go through this sort of thing and they try to self-diagnose. Yeah. Right? And my advice is always don't do that. Like if if you've had difficulties for 2 weeks or more, it's probably time to see someone about it, right? And get some professional
100%.
Advice. Yeah.
100%.
So Ellie, do you have a story to share with us of a singer that you have worked with recently or, in the last 12 months or whatever, where they've come to you and they've actually, experienced some sort of vocal trauma or voice disorder or something like that, and they've been battling through it for a while, and then they've come to you? Has there been any story that really sticks out in your mind as, a success story or, just a story that, you always look back on with fondness because of, I guess how you were able to help that singer through the journey to vocal recovery?
Absolutely. I see a lot of singers who have come from very well-meaning singing teachers who haven't had maybe the resources and the time and the opportunity to refresh their knowledge as to what is relevant and works more efficiently these days. And I've had a lot of people and one person in particular come in very strained voice, no access to their upper register, and just essentially feeling a bit broken, just like I've tried everything. I've been to all of these teachers. Yes. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get my voice back. And I was just like, look, I'm going to work as best as I can with you. Yes. And they actually couldn't sing up in their upper register at all. It was just complete breath. And within one session, just using a couple of voice rehab exercises that I know, within one session, they had complete access back to their upper range and a completely functional lower range. And they just started crying. Like, I didn't realize I could do this. And I was like, you can. And I think that just highlights that just highlights how important it is for everyone, me included. I do it all the time to keep up with the professional development, keep up with the personal development, and just see what's new and add it into your toolkit. But I think that's one I come back to a lot. Just in one session, boom, my voice is back. Incredible. Yes. But really, it's nothing special. There's no magic trick. It's just knowing how this works really well.
Absolutely.
And how to get really efficient voicing.
Love it. So in this person's case, what was the reason why they were not able to access their upper range? And, what tool did you give them to get it back in one session?
Yeah. So a lot of anxiety, the thought that they actually couldn't get that high. And they were doing something which is called vocal fold bowing. So they go to sing up high and they were trying so hard to bring their vocal folds together, but it's so hard to be gentle that their vocal folds started to bow in the middle like this.
Oh, wow.
And so they'd go to sing high and it would be like that. You could hear the air gushing through, but then also the strain in there.
Yeah.
And a really good thing to do when people are straining up high like that is to start with everyone knows how to do these bubbles.
Yes. Yep.
That encourages really gentle, that's it.
Yeah.
Really gentle vocal fold closure.
Yes.
And then move them forward into an so
fantastic.
So they can feel the really nice buzzing on their lips. Yeah. And then from there you can sculpt that sound. I did a lot of focus on resonant voice therapy work. So that's the ums. Yeah. Ums are amazing.
Yeah. They are.
And they're so amazing. A really great thing you can do to get someone to get into that zone if the bubble and the doesn't work is doing me, 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 me with really minimal movement here, buzz, buzz, buzz. And it stopped that bowing, it stopped that tension, and then we just went me, 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 and they just kept going up. It's just about knowing how the function works and being able to problem solve what they are doing. Now, I only know about the bowing because I saw that on a stroboscopy, on a the camera down the nose afterwards.
I see. I was going to ask about that. I'm like, did you hear that or something?
Yeah, no, saw it. And that's the other thing. So often as singing teachers, we have really tuned in ears. We're like, I can hear breath, I can hear, you can hear you doing that. But when we start talking about things like you're constricting your false vocal folds.
Right.
Am I? How do you know that? Do you have a camera down my nose? There are so many other reasons that someone could be having those same things that we're hearing, that tightness or that restriction of sound. There's other reasons that it could be. And we're spending a whole session trying to get our students to, retract their false vocal folds, and they might be perfectly retracted. And then our students get really frustrated.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing to consider. We can't diagnose, and I can't do that either. I can't have someone come into my clinic and I listen to them and go, you've got nodules.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
That's a laryngologist. That's an ENT.
That's right.
They do that. So it's hard to know where our lines are, boundaries are. Yeah.
I feel like you've just made that very clear though, Ellie. Like, if as a speech pathologist or as a vocal coach myself, our job is to support after the diagnosis has actually been given, when they've actually seen what's going on.
Yes.
Vocal folds. I feel like that's what you just said just really clarified that for me anyway. So
fantastic. It's great. And that's when, working with the laryngologist, working with the speech pathologist and the singing teacher, we make a really great team.
Absolutely. And we all need each other. Yeah.
100%.
Fantastic. Yeah, 100%. So now I wonder, what about just on a day-to-day basis? You know, I'm a singer. I'm not necessarily having huge difficulties with my voice or anything like that. But, you know, I gig maybe a few times a week. You know, I'm always using my voice for myself. I am teaching and I'm singing all the time. You know, what are some, you know, tips that you would say, you know, every singer has just got to be doing in order to really just maintain good, optimal vocal health?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones that is not talked about is knowing your environment and your vocal load outside of your singing life. Mm-hmm. So you're singing, teaching, and you're doing gigs, but do you go and socialize straight after those gigs?
Right.
When you come home, do you have a really loud environment that you come home to? When you are in the car, are you, you know, belting out and competing against the sound? Because quite often, for professional singers as well, like mostly, singing and teaching and things like that, they're not necessarily the things that help to get the voice fatigued. It's the things that you do outside of that as well, which includes things like, I mean, you know this, when you teach singing, you'll put on a bit of a voice. Yeah. It's usually a little bit higher. Yeah. It's a lot more energized. And then maybe when you leave, yes, you know, your voice drops and you might talk a bit more fry, and you get that tired voice. So we just don't have as much awareness when we're not singing, especially pertaining to our breathing. So that's one of the things I would say would be to go through and have a look at where you're using your voice outside of your gigs and outside of your singing, and how you're using it. Hydration, I mean, it's everyone says, but it's honestly the most important thing. 2 liters of water is the average, but everyone's bodies are different. So you monitor your hydration through your pee. So if it's yellow, you drink more water. If it's clear, you're hydrated.
That's good.
Yeah, right. So it's great. But quite often people don't understand the reason why we need to be hydrated. It's just like, drink water, it's good for you. If we're not hydrated, it's called phonation threshold pressure, which is just a very fancy word for how long it takes for our vocal folds to start vibrating and making sound.
Oh, okay. So if the pressure is high, it's taking longer?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So if we're dehydrated, phonation threshold pressure, PTP, it's higher. So it takes longer for your vocal folds to start up, which means you have to use more effort to make your sound, and that makes your voice tighter quicker. So we're always just trying to avoid that fatigue. So hydration means that you're going to have a lower PTP and your vocal folds are going to start up quickly and you're going to be able to go for it.
Yep.
The other one is if you're dehydrated. I'll actually have something here. Here's your larynx. Here's your larynx.
I need one of those.
They're very cheap. You can get them on eBay.
Okay. All right. They used to be very expensive. They used to be $1,000 or something. Oh,
they're the ones that move. This is just like a plastic one. I want one of those too. They're like $2,000.
Yeah.
I so want one. I'm saving up.
Okay.
So here's your larynx.
Yep.
And inside are your vocal folds.
Yep.
And if I open this up, and we are still talking about hydration here.
Yes.
They're your true vocal folds. They're the ones that come together to make sound. The top ones up there are false vocal folds. And you can see that there's this little indent in between them.
Yes.
So there are these little things inside here called saccules. Fun.
Saccules.
And saccules. And they produce mucus. Okay. And so when you are dehydrated, those saccules go, oh my gosh, we need some more mucus. And it sends out mucus onto your vocal folds. And so then you feel like you've got something in your throat, and then you clear your throat, or you cough. Throat clearing and coughing fatigues your voice very quickly.
That's right.
So really the main reason you stay hydrated is so you don't fatigue quickly. And they're the two main reasons why you stay hydrated, which is pretty crazy, right?
I love how you broke that down for us. That's amazing.
It's good. Please, everyone take that. Tell everyone.
Okay, so drink heaps of water, monitor it via your pee. I love that. That's so practical. That is so practical. I love it.
Yeah.
Yep. What else? Do you have anything else that you'd say, like, this is crucial for every singer?
I would say they're probably my two biggest ones. I would say, and it depends on the person, steaming to help break down that phlegm if you've got, or to help thin out that phlegm if you've got any of that phlegm there.
Yep. Question about steaming. So would you just do it the simple way, like over your bathroom basin with a towel over your head, or do you need one of those fancy schmancy, whatever you call those things?
No, you can do whatever you want. You can stand over a cup of tea and then do some steaming. Yeah, if the steam's coming up, go for it. You can stand over a pot on your stove that's boiling. You can stand in your shower. But the reason that those fancy ones are great is because they're so convenient for people who gig, especially the ones that don't require, especially the ones that are like battery powered. Yep. Straight away you get the steam. So they're just so convenient. You don't have to carry a kettle around with you.
Yeah.
Yes. And I suppose the other one is really simple again, and people just ignore it because we're like, I'm a singer, I can just go, is warming up. Warming up, it's crazy, right? Here's the reason for warming up, because some people are like, I don't need to warm up. And here's the actual reason behind it. Yes. Warming up increases blood flow to the muscles. So we'll increase blood flow to your vocal folds, which have muscles in. The things that move your larynx up and down are muscles. Yes. We want to increase the blood flow so that we avoid an injury, we avoid a strain, we avoid a struggle. Think about, I always just say, if you're an athlete and you go for a run, if you just ran, like you just got up in the morning and started sprinting, you'd pull a muscle, or you'd have a higher potential of pulling a muscle. Absolutely. Same with your voice. All you've got to do is get the blood flowing, which is really simple stuff. Just or moving, getting that flexibility going, and then boom, you've got blood flow. Go for it.
Because singers ask this all the time. How long must I warm up for? What do you think, Ellie?
So I know for a fact that it's in, can't remember the book. I think it might be Julianne Key's book, Singing and the Actor.
Yes.
She recommends 15 to 20 minutes of warming up. And I was like, yeah, cool. But you can also start to look, I haven't fully looked into this yet, but a really good thing to do would be look up sports science. Because this is part of your body and their muscles, which I'm going to look up in a bit. Look up sports science and see how little time you need to warm up for you to have the most increased blood flow. So I don't actually know, but I think there is an answer out there, but it's not, we have to look in sports medicine rather than voice medicine, because there's so much research around sports medicine. There's very little around voice science.
Right. Hey, so Ellie, you're a woman of many talents. As we've established in our chat so far, you're a speech pathologist, you're a vocal coach, and you also support vocal educators, with all the latest voice science and research and everything. But you're also a singer. I want to know, like, as a singer, what do you love to sing? How do you keep your singer tank filled?
Yeah, look, it's a hard one because I think early on I found that joy in other people learning how to sing. Right. So I kind of could like really get my satisfaction from that. But when it's just me, I love R&B and soul. I love improvising things like jazz. They're probably my go-tos. But the thing I work on the most for myself is my contemporary stylings. I work a lot on my mixed voice because it's just not something that I was taught back then. And so I work quite hard at developing that and making sure I have that balanced feel. And I think every single night in the shower, I work on my whistle tone. So
yes. Can you give us some tips on whistle tone, Ellie? Now that you have brought that up. It's another question I get a lot.
Look, I don't know the answer in terms of can everyone do it, or or is it, dependent on the person? Whistle tone is our final register. So it's when our vocal folds are at their stretched to their longest.
Yes.
And how it's made is the front, or the front 2/3 of the vocal folds are closer together. And the back portion is open. You can see that little gap in between there.
Yes.
And the air oscillates in between this here.
Right.
Now, that's this very similar position to a whisper.
Okay.
So
right.
You can try this, and I do it in the shower because there's steam. I feel really hydrated. I can hear myself really well. But you can try going into a whisper very silently, like almost on an R. And then you can try and sing a higher note. Up higher. Here we go. Am I warm enough today?
Wow.
No, I'm not.
No, but we are hearing those whistles.
Right. So, and I'm still working on it. I can't do it on demand.
Yeah.
But it's that feeling, that same kind of feeling of a whisper. And you can set up for one, and then really lightly try and sing a high note. And that's the thing that I found the most success for in terms of how to get people to access that whistle tone.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very light. So, and again, that comes from knowing the anatomy and physiology of how things work. And you're like, find something people can do, whisper, and access the thing that you actually want. So, yeah, that's whistle tone.
Love it. Now, I do have a question about that, because I've always been told that whispering's not really good for the voice. So does that mean whistle tones is not the best thing to be doing all the time? What do you think?
No. That positioning is the same. Yes. But when you want to whisper, you've got more, it's called pressure. It's called medial pressure. You have more pressure in the middle forcing these two together.
Yep.
Whereas whistle tone, you've got that more even pressure along the vocal folds. You don't have that medial pressure along there. Whispering, if you have to whisper every now and again, that's fine. Do it gently. Hi, I'm Ellie. As opposed to a tense one. Hi, I'm Ellie. So if you're whispering, you're doing it to be quiet. You're not whispering to whisper loudly. Don't be scared of it. But, you wouldn't want to be whispering all the time. If I have clients come in and they're like, I can only speak in a whisper, that's a problem, because your vocal folds are constantly really tight, and they might be quite long, and they'll get tired really quickly. So, I think most things in the voice are only really bad if you put lots of tension on them. It's a general rule of thumb.
Yeah, love it. Fantastic. Now, Ellie, do you have any sort of final words of encouragement that you would like to offer the singer, especially one who has or is going through vocal trauma, challenges with their voice and everything, and they're just in that place of, like the student that you had, where they came in and they're like, Kat, is this it for me? Do I need to stop singing? What can I do? What do you have any final words of encouragement for that person?
Yeah, look, I would say empower yourself with choice. You don't have to stay, this is going to sound controversial, but you don't have to stay with a singing teacher just because you've been with them for a really long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can go out and research and look for someone who you think might be able to help you more, or have a conversation with your singing teacher and be like, look, I feel like I'm not getting where I want to go. Can we relook at my goals, please? Or can we work alongside someone else as well to help me get to where I want to go? Find people within your community, on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever, who are also going through a similar thing, and have conversations with them. What have you tried? Who worked really well for you? And ask for help when you need it. We, as singers, we have this fake it till you make it mindset. Right. We've all been taught that. Yeah. There's there's an ego involved, because you're like, I want to sound good, and also it's my voice. Like, this is how I communicate. So it's hard to admit to yourself, let alone other people, that I'm struggling with this thing that is innately me. So get a good team behind you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Change your practitioners or singing teachers if they aren't giving you what you need and you've had a conversation with them. Don't just go by. And keep up with your hydration.
Yeah. Fantastic. And I think the thing is also that whenever a singer goes through things like this, they feel like they are absolutely alone. And what you've just highlighted is that, no, there's a lot of singers who are struggling through the same thing. You had your own journey as well, where you lost your voice. I've actually gone through a similar thing too, years and years ago. So it's actually quite I'm not trying to be sort of flippant about it, but it is a normal part of a singer's journey, right?
Yes, it is.
You've got to go through it at some stage, and it actually makes you stronger.
Yes. And when you see people like, I know it wasn't necessarily too much a voice thing, but Delta Goodrem, when she had that tongue paralysis, you read about Adele with nodules, you read about Keith Urban with nodules, and they have surgery or they have like rehabilitation stuff. You can read up and find these stories. Like, most singers have gone through something. It's not a shameful thing.
No.
And if we just talk about it a little bit more, everyone's going to feel more supported. It's not, vocal injury isn't a dirty word. It's just part of life. If you were a footballer and you did your ACL, people aren't like, he's a bad player. They're like, well, rehab and then get you back on the field. It's the same with voice.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh, so much gold, Ellie. Thank you so much for speaking to me today and sharing your wonderful knowledge with songbirds around the globe. Just so appreciate you, Ellie, and all the best for everything that you continue to put your hand to, because you are doing incredible work. I, for one, am so much better for being able to actually engage with you and consume the stuff that you put out there. It's amazing. So thank you so much.
Oh, you are so welcome. And thank you for everything that you do as well, and the beautiful vocal exercises and goals that you set with your community and making people feel just like they've got a ray of sunshine in their day. I just love seeing you on my screen.
Oh, Ellie, you're so kind. You're so sweet. Well, I can't wait to speak to you again soon.
Thank you. See you, Kerri.
See ya. What an incredible chat that was with Elle Nichelle. Now, Songbirds, go and follow her and check out all of her stuff. All the links are below in the description box, her website, and also her Instagram. And if you want to know more about vocal health, why don't you go check out this video here. Songbird, you know that I am always believing in you, so why don't you go out there, get grounded, take flight, and sing.